Good moto morning. Welcome to another episode of Kraken's Garage. Today is a very brief update on the install of some more parts on the CVO Road Glide as we get closer and closer to our departure to ride Old Route 66. Today we're going to install the front part of the bag guards, and then we're going to install the lowers, the entire lowers and the new crash bar to work with the lowers we're going to install as well. This is not a DIY, how do you do it type video where I walk you through step by step, bolt by bolt. This is a time-lapse video where I'm just sharing my thoughts with my audience on my adventure. Thus the name of my channel, Kraken's Garage and Adventures. And this has been an adventure trying to get this bike set up and ready for this trip from ground zero. So first, we had to remove the bags, and then we had to install the new bag guard, which fit very nicely, beautifully done on protecting the front part of the bag. And in the event of a tip over, it still would offer a lot of protection to those bags. So very happy with how that turned out. Blue Loctite on everything, as I'm still going over the entire bike. Every single bolt I am torquing to spec. The ones that I'm worried about vibrating loose on a big V-twin, we're putting blue Loctite on. So now a pro tip, as most of you know, when I took the first ride on it, I got caught in a terrible snow and sleet storm and got soaked to the bone, etc. And the bike got trashed. So while I'm tearing apart all these sections of the bike, it's really a good time to get in there with some cleaner and get a coat of wax on any painted surface that needs to be protected, even powder coated parts. So I'm putting some carnauba wax. I found it to be the best for longevity reasons. When you take away parts, especially parts that have lips that overlap, that are going to chafe over time, you should get in there and really clean that as best you can while you have the bike torn apart, and get a coat of wax on those lips and the tabs that overlap. So give that some thought when you're working on your bike. Now, as long as I have all the cleaning supplies out while I'm working on the bike, it also gives me an opportunity to get down in all the nooks and crannies and do a deep clean on the whole bike. Never ceases to amaze me how many times I have detailed my bike to the nines. I mean, it's just perfect before I go on a trip, and an hour into the trip, I'm covered in bugs and debris. So, for the glory of it all, in my mind, I'm a legend. So, another pro tip I would suggest when you're working on your bike and you're having to remove a lot of bolts. I get a piece of cardboard and I just take a Phillips screwdriver or a JIS screwdriver and I poke holes in it, and with a Sharpie I draw the piece that I'm tearing apart and I poke holes where the bolts go. So as I remove them, I just stick them in the cardboard. That way I don't have to remember which bolt goes in which hole. It really does help out quite a bit. So give that some thought. Now, as I have preached in many videos, buy yourself not one but 2 torque wrenches. I'll have a couple listed down below on Amazon that will get the job done and are fairly decent and affordable. You can spend all kinds of money on a decent torque wrench with like Eastwood. You don't have to. And why I say 2 of them, you need a bigger one for the large bolts, like when you're bolting on the bag guards, you have great big bolts that secure it to the frame. And what you need the smaller one for is those much smaller, delicate bolts that have a more in-tuned torque settings for a much finer, precise at lower torque settings. And I highly recommend it. They're just invaluable. And always remember, when you're done using your torque wrenches, back it off so there's no load on the spring. You set it to 40 inch-pounds or whatever, and you leave it that way, and next time you go to use a torque wrench, you've in effect stressed out that spring that sets it to 40 pounds because it's been compressed for a long period of time. So when you back it all the way off, it lets the pressure off the spring, and you're good to go for the next next wrenching session that you have ahead of you. So as luck would have it, while I'm installing the bag guards, I got a phone call from Stonewall Harley-Davidson, and some more of my parts came in. So off I went to go pick them up, and they were the rest of the bag guards that go around the bags on the back and protect it. Super easy install. There was 3 or 4 bolts in total, and installing those, very easy install. I would recommend anybody jumping right in. It's not a big deal. And they came out fabulous, and I feel really good about protecting those bags in that beautiful paint. So 2 thumbs up for that. When I was at Stonewall, I talked to Kim, and the bag that was painted to match that got damaged and is now reordered has not come back in yet. It is unlikely to arrive within the next, I'm leaving in 9 or 10 days. So tomorrow morning I have my first service done on the bike, and they're going to install the docking hardware, and I'm just going to take a loaner top case. And I asked Kim, I said, do you have a hoopty top case? Now that's slang, American slang for a $100 car that barely runs and smokes when it's going down the road, is sometimes called a hoopty, or it's tired and on its last leg in life. That's exactly what I want for a top case. I said I don't want a showpiece. I don't want to hear about a scratch after I put 6,000 miles on this top case. So we'll see what we get when we get home, and what kind of top case is going to be rocking across America on Old Route 66. So let's move on to the leg guards. This was really difficult to install. You better put your man pants on or woman pants on if you're going to tackle this task. I worked on it for 10 hours the first day. Now, to be fair, I'm not a tech, so that could do this job in 2 or 3 hours. For me, it's a lot of trial and error and fit and taking your time and thinking it through to get everything to play well in the same sandbox. Now, you had to remove the entire front end fairing of the bike. Then you had to remove the crash guard and all the chin mount underneath for the radiator, which has a screen protector on it. And oh, by the way, when I pulled all that apart, the radiator had a lot of grass and debris from when I got caught in that storm. It threw it up into that chin guard and was starting to block some of the air cooling of that radiator. So those of you that have a water-cooled Road Glide, pull that off. It unpops. It doesn't have a bolt on. It unpops from down below to check behind it and make sure you keep that radiator clean. Bikes run hot enough already with that big V-twin. So we replaced the crash guard. I had to remove, the reason why I had to remove the entire fairing for that one was to get add a bracket that I had to remove for the new crash bar, and the old one wouldn't work. So that one, if you remember, I had to buy a new bracket for $178. We got that bolted in, and it looks really good. The fit and finish is outstanding, just superb. Harley really does a nice job on their fit and finish on parts, no matter where they're made. So this bled into a second day of putting the lowers on, and I finally got them installed. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I took that front end apart 4 or 5 times to get that install done. However, they look fabulous. I'm very excited to see how they perform. I took the bike out for a ride. I put about 40 miles on it the other day. I wanted to check the new fairing to see how it would do. It's hitting exactly where I thought. It's doing about 80–90% of what I expected, and it will do fine for me on this very long trip all the way across the country and back. Now, I had no shakes, no rattles, no rolls, no loose bolts vibrated out after that 30–40 mile ride, and I rode it pretty aggressively to really kind of stretch the legs of the bike. 2 thumbs up there. Everything seems to be coming together as far as the work that I've done to the bike to prep it for its journey. Now, those of you that have been watching this series on this prepping the bike, when the lowers came in and I went to see Kim to pick them up, she's very good. She's very astute. She checks out every part personally, especially the painted ones, because they're non-returnable when you order painted parts. You better order the right part if you're the parts department or you own it. And the customer has to make sure that they get what they're paying for before they take delivery of the part, or you, the customer, owns the part. So Kim checks it over and the glove box door was broken on it. So we know about that. That part came in. I did some research. To replace the glove box, you have to remove the entire front end again. That's a hard pass. I'm already taking the bike in for its first service, so I'm going to have them install the new glove box, or the lid on the glove box. The clip is what broke. It's a tender design and not very well thought out. They easily break from what I understand, and with a hard jarring, it's not uncommon to have the glove boxes pop open. It's one of those you push in to open, push in to close it type deals. Now, when I got the lowers all installed and the broken glove box door is popping open, it's hitting up against the Super Sucker air cleaner. This is just poor design. Why would you design something like that massive air cleaner that hits the glove box and won't permit it to open all the way? It hits the air cleaner, and that's going to cause chafing over time on the air cleaner, so thumbs down on that. Harley, you can do better than that. Lastly, when I go by tomorrow to take the bike for its first service, I'll put some highway pegs on the crash bar, something black. I don't really care about style or whatever, as long as it has rubber on it that my boot won't slip on it. And it bolts up to the crash bars, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not a fan of those highway pegs, but there's a lot of people that ride with them and swear by them. To me, I feel like you're getting ready for a gynecological appointment with your legs up in the air. So that's where we're at. More to come in the near future. I'm going to try to eke out a couple more videos over the next 9-10 days. I don't know how many I will be able to get done on the road. I don't have my editing software and all of that, so if I do anything, it's going to be pretty much raw footage done from my phone type scenario regarding the editing to get it posted. So may do some very short live streams to give an update on how the trip's going. Maybe that will suffice as a short stop in between or go between till I get back home and can get back on schedule. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you think about that idea. I know what I like, baby, I like you. And remember, folks, go riding because it's good for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Raise the kite in the afternoon, 'cause I know what I like.